Our history books never teach us this. This should have been in our history books, but they are filled with Mughals and Delhi Sultanates. Such remarks are common to hear whenever Indians learn about a facet of their own history. But have you ever wondered why our history books are the way they are? It's because they were part of a massive exercise called national integration, which noted author Sitaram Goel described as an experiment with untruth. The idea of this exercise was to make India give rise to secular nationalism based on composite culture. The operative words here being secular nationalism and composite culture. Secular nationalism meant that any history that even hinted at the glory of Hindu heroes and culture should be downplayed in order to not hurt the minorities. At the same time, as Sitaram Goel says, Hindus were expected to hail the Islamic invaders as an inseparable part of their national heritage. By extension, Hindus were expected to give a free pass to tyrants like Muhammad bin Qasim, Mahmud Ghazni, Muhammad Ghori, the Khiljis, Tughlaqs, Babur, Akbar, Aurangzeb, and Abdali. Persian and Urdu poetry written by the likes of Amir Khusro and Pakistan promoter Muhammad Iqbal were to be accepted as national heritage. On the other hand, the minorities were not prepared, probably still aren't prepared, to take pride in any period of pre-Islamic Indian history or honor any hero from that era. Hindu heroes like Shivaji, Rana Pratap, Cholas, and Ahoms, and freedom fighters like Veer Savarkar, Tilak, and Vanchinathan receive contempt from them even today. It was feared that glorification of Hindu culture would lead to Hindu revivalism and strengthen Hindu consciousness and cause communal strife. By painting India as a composite culture of different races, religions, languages, and cultures, while denying the inherent unifying thread, was seen as the way for national integration. Hence, the then ruling class saw it fit to dilute Hindu history while whitewashing the atrocities of the invaders with the liberal quote. This massive exercise was taken up by the National Integration Council of the Ministry of Education of the Government of India in the 1980s. While the first Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, had set up the NIC in 1961 with the noble intention of tackling challenges to the unity and integrity of India by combating regionalism and communalism, the NIC was weaponized by vested interests. Kumi Kapoor, a journalist, had given a summary of the guidelines prepared by the NCERT in an Indian Express article dated January 17, 1982. History and language textbooks for all schools all over India will soon be revised radically. In collaboration with various state governments, the Ministry of Education has begun a phased program to weed out undesirable textbooks and remove matter which is prejudicial to national integration and unity and which does not promote social cohesion. The Ministry of Education's decision to re-evaluate textbooks was taken in light of the recommendations of the National Integration Council, of which the Prime Minister is chairman. The Prime Minister of India then was Indira Gandhi. The NCERT guidelines stated that historians have been told to stress the interaction between Aryan and non-Aryan cultures, thereby ingraining the myth of the Aryan invasion. It also had given a warning against over-reliance on and use of myths as history. This was aimed at the Hindu epics of Ramayana and Mahabharata. Whether the incidents described in the epics really happened or not is a matter of scholarly debate, but what harm can these stories cause to national integration if they are included in textbooks? But the guidelines do not stop at just the mythology. It also invades into the realm of recorded undisputable history as well. It says that over-glorification of the country's past is forbidden, thus denying the Hindus their right to take pride in their rich history and legacy. The NCERT guideline even says that the Gupta age can no longer be referred to as the golden period of Hinduism, when in fact Hindu spirituality, arts, architecture, temples, literatures, sciences, and philosophy reached a pinnacle during this age. If the Chinese can glorify their Ming period, the Persians the age of Cyrus, the Greeks their age of Pericles, the Arabs their age of Abbasids, the English the reign of Elizabeth, The Germans, the age of Bismarck, the French, their Renaissance and Revolution. Why shouldn't India take pride of its Hindu past? The guidelines also say that Muslim rulers cannot be identified as foreigners except for early invaders who did not settle here. If Babur, the founder of Mughal Empire who was born in Uzbekistan, is not a foreigner, who is he then? Son of the Indian soil? The Mughals or the Khiljis or the Tughlaqs, as Sitaram Goel says, cannot be regarded as native rulers simply because they had settled here or because the descendants of those converted by force regard themselves as descendants of these foreign dynasties. By that logic, those who converted to Christianity become entitled to claim the British as native rulers. In another instance of whitewashing atrocities, the NCERT guideline also objects to the characterization of the medieval period as a time of conflict between Hindus and Muslims. The guidelines state that no exaggeration of the role of religion in political conflicts is permitted. The argument here is that the invaders were as good natives and patriots as the Hindu rulers but were forced to fight politically. The oft-repeated rhetoric is that Hindu kings fought against other Hindu kings as well for territory. By that logic, should we absolve the British of their atrocities because the freedom fighters were fighting amongst themselves? To fabricate this massive exercise of national integration, historians at the Indian History Congress, Aligarh Muslim University, and the Indian Council of Historical Research like Irfan Habib burnt the midnight oil. Irfan Habib, in Volume 5 of A Comprehensive History of India, had pronounced that Prithviraj Chauhan was executed by Muhammad Ghori for sedition. Habib had dealt with Islamic rule in India as an integral part of the larger Muslim empire spread over West Asia and Northern Africa. But then how did Marxist historians like Habib manage to control the Indian historical narrative? This is where the political situation of that time comes into play. When veteran leaders of the Congress, led by Morarji Desai, revolted and reduced Indira Gandhi's majority in parliament to 220 MPs, she allied with the Communist Party of India to hold on to power. As part of an unwritten deal, Indira Gandhi handed over academic institutions on a platter to these communist historians in exchange for their political support for her government. And that is the story of why the NCERT textbooks are the way they are, and how a nation's history was distorted and its destiny stolen from right under our noses.